During his visit to the annual NAMPO Agricultural Exhibition on 13 May 2025, President Cyril Ramaphosa briefly addressed the media and some public, referring to the group of refugees who left South Africa for the United States as cowards. In my humble opinion, he is completely wrong. This statement should be retracted, and he ought to issue a public apology, as it is both unfounded and untrue. In this video, I will explain my reasoning for those who may not understand. Welcome to the Riandro Show, where I look into those stories that affect every South African in some other way. Before I begin, I want to give a little bit of a background for context for those who are not familiar with the scenario in which this occurred. NAMPO has grown into one of South Africa's largest agricultural exhibitions, spanning several days. It is hosted annually in Bothaville by Grain SA and provides a platform for farmers, agribusinesses and industry leaders to showcase innovations, discuss challenges and explore solutions for agricultural sustainability. NAMPO features exhibitions on mechanization, technology, financing and farmer support, attracting thousands of visitors and exhibitors every year. Now, during his visit, Ramaphosa noted that his main focus for visiting the NAMPO exhibition was in his capacity as a farmer, and not as much the president. Some may not know that he is in essence also a farmer, and even co-author of a book about cattle in South Africa. Apparently, he has quite a strong interest in farming, particularly in cattle breeding. He owns the Ntabanyoni farm in Mpumalanga, where he breeds various breeds of cattle. Ramaphosa also owns Pala Pala Wildlife Farm, a game farm in Limpopo, where he focuses on conservation and wildlife farming. So yes, one could call him a farmer, besides being the president of South Africa. As in any community, social classes exist, and they do not always mix. Some farmers, often considered elite, employ others to handle the labor, while others work the land themselves alongside helpers, growing crops, herding sheep or milking cows. Though their roles differ, they are all called farmers. When he stood before a group of farmers and reporters, presenting himself as a farmer, not as a president, his remark was an even greater insult to the refugees who left South Africa over the weekend, when he labelled them cowards.
As South Africans, we are resilient. We don't run away from our problems, and we shouldn't run away from our problems. And if you look at all national groups in our country, black and white, we've stayed in this country because it's our country and we must not run away from our problems. We must stay here and solve our problems. So when you run away, you're a coward. And that's a real cowardly act.
When you run away, you're a coward. And that's a real cowardly act. If you've been attacked, sometimes multiple times, as some of these individuals have experienced, and live in fear that the next attack could be fatal, does avoiding future attacks make you a coward? You say we shouldn't run away from our problems, but how do we fix the problem when the SAPS is unable, or in some cases unwilling to help these people? You call these people cowards, yet the conviction rate for the cases they and their neighbors bring before the courts, when they are fortunate enough to receive SAPS cooperation and have suspects arrested, is only 5%. You call these people cowards for wanting to avoid leaders of political groups calling for their killing.
Shoot to kill, Gamaza, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer, brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa, Attention!
The only truth in your statement, Mr. Ramaphosa, is that South Africans are resilient. We overcome hardships, setbacks, and adapt to challenges. Choosing to be a refugee is in itself an act of resilience. These individuals have endured repeated attacks, yet found the courage to seek safety in another country, determined to rebuild their lives. They have adapted to their circumstances and made the bold, courageous choice to become refugees. You call them cowards, but they are in fact brave. Brave enough to leave everything they know behind and head into the unknown to build a new life from nothing. Brave enough to escape the threat of another attack which they may not survive. Brave enough to carry their children in their arms into a new country they know nothing about, with only a promise that they will keep them safe, because they cannot keep that promise where they come from. Brave enough to face the ridicule of people like you, your followers, the media, and even those in the United States who are against the decision by President Donald Trump to allow them refugee status. Brave enough to accept that they may never be able to come back unless things improve in South Africa. The coward is you, Mr. Ramaphosa, because you allowed this situation to develop and escalate to the point where another country accepts refugees from South Africa. You are a coward for not addressing farm attacks, but rather running away from the issue. You are a coward for accepting the threats used in a struggle song and not standing up to those who sing it. You run away. You are a coward for not addressing unemployment, which is exacerbated by BEE laws, which prevents new investors from starting businesses in South Africa. You are a coward for failing to abolish BEE laws that discriminate particularly against young white South Africans under the age of 30, individuals born after apartheid, yet you still seek a stake in their businesses simply because they are white. BEE, driven by a sense of retaliation, prevents them from owning large enterprises independently without black partners, even though they never benefited from apartheid. You had an opportunity to speak to these people, not the groups claiming to represent them, the people who are now in the United States, and many more who have applied to the process. But you are a coward who runs away from this problem because you do not want to face these people. You are a farmer of a different class. You are a farm owner, an elite farmer, like many other white farmers indeed, who join you on that same elite farmer podium for financial gain, but you ignore the plight of the larger part within the white minority who do not share this privilege. If you want to fix South Africa, stop being a coward and face the people, the minority, those who do not qualify for BEE positions, and speak to only them in the room and find a solution. And no, transformation is not a solution. It is a dictatorial concept you have chosen as your solution. It is 30 years after apartheid. Your revenge is over. And if you allow your revenge tactics to continue, you will eventually destroy this country completely. And the line of refugees will just get longer. Are you brave, Mr. Ramaphosa? Or are you a coward who will continue to run away from these problems? Blame apartheid, lean on transformation as a crutch, and preach democracy, which favors only the majority but kicks the minority in the teeth. I invite you for lunch, Mr. Ramaphosa. I will buy us KFC and we can have a discussion under a tree somewhere, because you need to hear from the minority man on the street that is not represented by any groups or political parties out there. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any thoughts, feel free to share them in the comments section. If you found any value in this video, Please do like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.